What's up guys, this is Scher talking, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'll be talking about two new banners, but focus on the first. We got the announcement of SaGa from Tier 1 characters, and we have the first being Alkaiser Romancing Festival. We already have the information about this banner, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Go straight to Hands43 post on Reddit to check the differences between Alkaiser on JP and Global. They're not plenty, it's just one thing. Although I do have something that I want to check later. First of all, Kaiser has 128 agility, not the highest volley, but good enough. 117 STR, and 91% wheel. That's usually good enough for hard challenges. Endurance is 84, okay, and all the other status won't matter as much. Well, we have 25% damage reduction when attacked. Also has 5 EP per turn. And when attacking, it says that activates Sparkling Roll. This is an 8-power attack. On JP, it does say that it has a 50% chance to trigger Real Phoenix. That is amplified version of the attack, and it has 4S power. And you really have a guarantee of chasing with 8 power and a 50% chance to chase with Real Phoenix. Well, in the case of Jo, she has a triple S power attack and another one that has 3 hits with C power. So all of her attacks are good. Here, Sparkling Row is not that strong, but if it's a guarantee, it kind of evens out. Now, on the start of a fight, he grants a passive to the party that grants this attack boost for the whole fight. This will trigger every turn and last for 1 turn, increasing your damage potential by 20%, and also this Elemental Guard to Shadow, decreasing Shadow damage by 35%, triggers every turn, so you have this active at all times. Also, when attack lands, if you are on a critical HP, your characters, this is a passive, it will trigger 2 different effects. A recover that will heal around 2000 HP at least, that will probably get you back to full HP or close. And also this defense up that decreases damage taken for the whole fight by 20%. It's interesting because you usually get into critical at least once in most fights, especially in the first turns. But if you're using people like, for example, Jo and Liz together, you may not get into critical. So, well, you will probably drop one of them anyway because Alkaiser is damage but also support. But 20% damage reduction is the same what you get as Scrum Guard, so good enough, but has condition to trigger. Then, after the end of 5 turns, this is something only to Alkaiser, you recover skill 2 usage by 1. That will be discussing in a few. And to just Alkaiser, if he gets killed, he revives once with at least 30% HP. Okay, 30% HP still triggers a critical effect that will give him a defense up and will recover him again. And he will probably get back to full HP at least once. He then has 30% heat up every turn for a max of 150% damage increase alongside the 20% that he gets from passive. You have 170% increase by turn 5. So we have some good status here. The Elemental Guard for Shadow will not work all the time, but Shadow is a common element for bosses, and his damage output is okay, but takes time to build. But the good thing is that he has an effect that works for the whole party, that can recover them and give the defense up. Moving on, skill number 1 is kind of a waste. I don't really like it too much. It's a fast deep power attack that costs 2 BP. And it grants guard down small to the enemy, decreasing their defenses by, I believe, 12%. Does not stack with defense down, only lasts for 1 turn. I usually prefer to use a normal attack. Skill number 2 is now something else. Can be used 2 times per battle. 5 EP, it grants morale up, increasing the damage potential by 40%, lasts for 2 turns. Guard up very large that decreases damage taken by 50%, does not stack with other guard ups, but stack with defense boosts from Liz and from Jo, for example, who also casts 1 evade 1 time, 1 turn. So in that turn, you will evade 1 hit to allies. So it doesn't heal, it's full support. Your first hit will be negated, and then the other ones will have lower damage. It's better for fights when you have multiple bosses or bosses that attack multiple times. And since this will be recovered every 5 turns, it's much like what you see with Razan. But full support, no heals, you are just going to get this extra defense layer. And if you have guard up, you will probably not trigger the recover unless the boss is super offensive. You usually use this later on the fight when you don't have much resources, or you can use it on start as well if you want to go for very fast damage setup, because you can take benefit of the morale up. But I believe it's usually better to use later. Then we have skill number 3 that has 8 PP cost. It's double S power, single target with Blunt and Sun. And it will recover HP of all surviving allies by around 250. Will also apply this defense boost that will decrease damage taken by 25%. And lasts for 2 turns. So this will stack if you can use this again. It can be used multiple times if you're running ScherBR in your party, because it will give him enough VP to keep using since he has enough 5 VP per turn. So offensive, defensive, he will chase, and if he chases with a 4S power attack, damage is pretty amazing. But he requires buffers that buff both STR and agility, like for example Nawal's Daughter, to get all benefits. But that's okay, it's not so hard to slot Nawal's Daughter anyway, unless you are in a fight where you cannot buff, and he will be even out with all the other damage dealers. Well, Alkaiser is not as good as Joe. Joe is better, especially for long fights and fights where the enemy attack multiple times. But Alkaiser has a little of something else. For example, different elements, Blunt and Sun, while Joe is fire and cold. So they can still be used in different scenarios. They will not replace each other. But you can see that he is not as good as Joe. If you skip it, Joe, it's a good time to pull. And if you are a new player, I will recommend getting Alkaiser. He sits between a triple S and an OP grade because of his utility. I'm still undecided, but I do believe he deserves an OP. At least for now, till he gets a little less used. But for Blunt and Sun, he's a very stable character to use that offers damage, but also offers support to the party. Moving on, we have Asilos, and she doesn't have very high status because she still wants to be in hybrid somehow. 118% STR, and then she has 101% will. That's awesome because she's a counter specialist, don't want to get inflicted with ailment to stop the counters. Endurance is 72% for a counter specialist, not a big value. Then she has 92% dexterity because she can inherit rapier skills. Yeah, she has rapier styles. 91% agility because she still needs to go fast because her counter attack is not fast. So you kind of lose by having to have all status, and her love and charisma suffer by being very low. But she has something else to offer, like Scroom Guard, decreasing damage taken for everyone as long as everyone is alive by 20%. Also, when she attacks, she recovers 2 BP. That's actually awesome because of how she works. Then she has 20% damage increase and then 30 for a total of 50%. Reduces damage taken by 25 and then by 30. And she starts the fight with 11 BP. Now, she has 25% chance to evade enemies and starts the fight with last 3 LP. She has only 3. But every time that she attacks, she will chase with Ezra's Strife. That is a triple S power attack. Ezra's Strife is a funny attack because it opens with triple S power, slash and blunt damage, but then it becomes just slash when you counter. You can see here, and it has a chance to instant kill. But the interesting thing is that you will counter while still taking damage. It's not an evasion, so she has to go first to actually attack the enemy and trigger the counter stance. But even if she does, you are always getting a triple S power attack as a chase in the cost of losing 3 LP on the start of a fight. So good enough, I guess, and it's not like you are running with just 1 LP. Some fights are still doable, but stuff like Aberration Supreme fight will be hard because there's a lot of LP damage there. Now, skill number 1 is a 1 BP single target attack that, when the attack lands, recover HP by around 1000. Second one is a C-Power AoE attack that, when it lands, has a chance to debuff the enemy's endurance and dexterity by 15% on max level. Well, the interesting point here is the dexterity debuff. She is already an intelligence debuffer with inheritance of either Mirage Step or Plume Blossom from New Year's, but now she can also debuff dexterity. She's only missing an STR AoE debuff now. And skill number 3 is an 11 BP cost skill with S power that, before attacking, she will grant Phantom to allies for 1 turn. That has 25% chance to evade. Then she will buff all status by 25% on max level, give 1 BP to everyone, and then attack. So, how does everything work here? For example, if you're using this skill number 3, well, it costs 11, she starts with 11. and she's going to chase. So you actually recover 7 BP when you are attacking. So you have Sheree in your party, you probably can use this attack multiple times. If you're running Liz, you will not be able to use multiple times, but you can cycle super easily skill number 3 and 1, and sometimes even use skill number 3 2 times in a row. The Fento effect is not so important, but now since she already has 25% to evade, and then she gets 25 to the party, oh, it can help you here and there, especially if you are also running on Unpressed. Now, if you have way too many characters using this type of skills, you can evade, and that's interesting. Not reliable, though. And you can still inherit the Azure Strife skill from her evil version, and you will be able to counter twice. That's right, 3 attacks, the first one, and then when you counter twice, and every new attack the enemy performs, you will counter twice. It's similar to Goddess' latest style, where she can actually do something similar, but she has to use skill on turn 1 and on turn 2, but you can actually do this on turn 1. You can attack, enter the counter stance, and the counter stance will trigger twice because she gets that chase via passive and 1 chase via active. Very interesting design, but she still loses to Julian. Julian is someone that offers more to the party because he buffs endurance. But let's say you are in a hybrid case where the enemy will also sometimes do indirect attacks, and you may decrease more by Strong Guard than endurance buffs because the enemy also breaks your buffs. I don't know, maybe Asellus will be just as good. But Julian has something else because in most cases he just completely obliterates every other counter since he buffs STR to the team. A very good character that is also very close to receiving OP grade, but still not enough. I believe she lands somewhere between SSS and OP. But if you are a new player and you skip it, Julian, she's actually very good to have, especially if you are already pulling for Alkaiser. The last one is Jen, and he has 120% STR, not really that high, 88% agility only, and 87 endurance and 72 will. That's a very bad value for someone that will fight versus hard challenges. And when battle begins, he recovers BP by 1, so it starts with 11, and when he uses skills 1 or skill 2, he activates Scattered Petals. Scattered Petals is a SSS power attack with Slash and Cold, so that's interesting, but we need to check the BP cost of these skills. And then when he attack weak targets, he grants himself a hit up that will increase his damage potential by 10%, max of 5 times per battle, will reach 50% on max, and his STR is also buffed by 20%. So it relies on attacking weak targets, I believe. When being attacked, it reduces damage taken by 25%, then another 30% by G's Word Finese, and when weak attack lands, recover his BP by 2. So usually 5 BP per turn at least, or 7 if you are using skill number 1 or skill number 2. So we only have that 50% heat up when reaching max potential, and the STR buff, and another 30% from G's Word Finese. Not bad. So skill number 1 is 8 BP cost, and it has SS power, Slash and Cold, and when the attack lands, there's a chance to paralyze. This skill here is from the past, from Katarina, and you always chase with your SSS power attack, so SS followed up by SSS, it's actually pretty okay. Slash and Cold, we do have a lot of good damage dealers for those 2 elements, and with 8 BP, if you are attacking the enemy weakness, you actually have 7 BP per turn. Yes, because you get 5 with the first hit, and then you get another 1 with the second hit. So damage is okay, it's just that he is a full-time damage dealer. Skill number 2 is now 4S power, 11 PP cost, single target, just Slash. If the enemy is just weak to Slash, you may actually prefer to use this since it's much stronger. He will still activate Scattered Petals, but here you come to find a problem with BP generation. If you are running someone like, for example, Shirei, it's okay, you can still use this attack and chase with Scattered Petals. Opening with 4S, chasing with Scattered Petals, it's pretty okay, strong. And it reduces you to just Slash damage though. Then the third one is an 11 PP attack as well. It can only be used 1 time per battle. I believe it's just the same as Razen, as welfare style. And it's just too strong. But he cannot do anything else besides that, and it will not trigger his Scattered Petals. Since he needs to use his own skills to trigger Scattered Petals, I don't think he needs inheritance. He does have apathy from his welfare style, and he will counter well. And if the enemy is weak, he will grant his heat up super fine. He will also recover more BP and buff STR, so he makes the Platinum style better as well. It's not someone that everyone should get. If you get him by accident, it's pretty cool. And I would say that he's more in line to what we will be expecting of an SS Plus style moving forward, but now he competes in damage with most of our Triple S characters. But he's not as good, not even close to what Asilos and Alkaiser are. So, okay, but you should not aim for the character. With all that said, this banner is actually pretty good. I will be giving this banner a Silver Plus award because we do have 2 meta units here somehow, Alkaiser and Asellus. But Asellus not beat Yuma Mail or Julian, but comes close depending on the scenarios, and you have Alkaiser with very good damage and support and can replace Joe in some scenarios, and for those that don't have Joe, a very good alternative. With all that said, I will be pulling on this banner. I decided because I'm a fan of Alkaiser and I do like to pull for 2 good units. But if I get Dan, I will not care too much about Jen, but he's still good enough if you are too close for a pity. But that's my opinion. What is yours? Please say here in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't. If you want to support the channel, we have links on the description. Hope to see you soon in the next one or live stream. Bye.